Let's invite our first presenter, Ms. Tuty Elfira Abdul Razak, to present her research on using picture books and philosophy for children, that is P4C, approach to engage learners with dyslexia. Ms. Tuty recently attained a master's in special education needs from the University of South Wales. Her research interests include self-efficacy, social emotional learning, and promoting philosophical thinking among young children.
Now, can you hear me at the back? Right, thank you. Okay, thank you for signing up for my session. I'm here today to share with you some findings from my MA dissertation on using picture books to engage learners with dyslexia. Some of you may be wondering why I chose picture books as a central topic or a central tool as part of my research. Well, personally, even as an adult, I enjoy reading picture books. I think picture books offer multiple layers of meaning, and as you read deeper, there are actually a lot of things that underlying messages that the writer may want to convey. So I thought, why not use picture books to and explore the use of with children with dyslexia. Okay. My research interest came about based on my experience working with children with dyslexia. For about 7 years now, I've been teaching children from primary to secondary school, and I have observed that a lot of them have benefited quite greatly from explicit phonics instruction, and this is seen through their ability to attain age-appropriate reading and spelling skills. However, there's still a lack of comprehension skills among a lot of them. So basically, if you give them a passage or a text to read, they may be able to read out aloud fluently, but when you ask them questions based on what they have read, they are unable to respond accurately. And this same lack of comprehension skills can be manifested in two other difficulties. Firstly would be difficulty in conveying their thoughts and ideas. So like I said, because they have very vague understanding of what they have read, so if you ask them questions, they either give very vague answers or they are unable to extract relevant information from the passage. And if you take it one step further, it will also translate into difficulties in writing. So they can't paraphrase or they can't write down the answer, or even verbally, they are unable to explain themselves clearly. All right? And so, with that observation about the lack of comprehension and difficulty in communicating, I went about to design my study, and my first objective was to use picture books, all right, and to see how it can help students who have reading difficulties overcome the difficulties in comprehension, and also the use of questioning and thinking skills approach. So basically, they not only go through the process of achieving or working on their reading fluency and decoding and all that, they are also encouraged to ask questions based on what they have read. So, and in that way, it helps me understand better how they comprehend the story and all that. All right. So I was looking for 10 students, but only 6 were able to commit to it. So basically, it's a very small scale project. And together, we read 10 picture books, all right, over the course of a term. And we spent 15 hours of reading and discussion. So we would spend about 15 to 20 minutes reading the books, followed by we'll sit together in a circle and we would discuss about what we have read. I'll go into detail how I conducted the reading sessions later. All right. So this was the process I went through. Apart from recruiting the participants, of course, I had to go through the process of selecting picture books, and this had to be done quite explicitly. So the books I selected were mostly award-winning children's book. They were awarded like the Caldecott award-winning children's book. And apart from that, I need to come out with a weekly plan basically every book I would have to come up with questions and some prompts, because at the initial part of the study, the students were unable to come up with their own questions, so you needed to prompt them. And then to implement the weekly sessions, and every week I would be recording I did an audio recording, so I had to listen to it and observe the kinds of words they use, the language they use, and then followed by my evaluation. So what exactly are picture books? Are picture books just books, text with images? Is it just any book you pick out from the library with pictures? Okay, let's look at the academic definition of picture books. Okay, picture books are defined as multimodal text. Basically, they combine the two modes of words and images that work simultaneously together to construct a meaning. All right, and picture books have cover a range of reading abilities, so it's accessible to both advanced readers and emergent readers. So for advanced readers, they are able to read fluently, right? And they understand the vocabulary. But what they can do is they can read deeper and understand the meanings conveyed. For emergent readers, they would tap on the visuals to understand what maybe they are unfamiliar with some words, so they can use the visuals to tap on the visuals to understand the story. And this picture book specialist captures quite aptly the description of picture books. He says, apart from bringing out what is being said in the written text, the picture and illustrations in these books convey additional meanings that could not have been derived from the verbal narrative alone. So basically, the words and the image, they coexist. You can't do without the other. All right? And I'll take you through some examples of the books that I used during the study. Okay, the first one is The Lost Lake by Ellen Say. What I'll do is I will show you an extract or paragraph from the book without the picture, okay, and then followed by the actual paragraph with the picture in the book, okay, and then we'll see the power of image in picture books. All right. So the book is about a father and son relationship. They spend some time together, looking for a lake where the father visited with his own father. That means the character's grandfather. After breakfast, we climbed a mountain and saw our lake below us. There wasn't a sign of people anywhere. It really seemed as if Dad and I were all alone in the world. I liked it just fine. All right? So it's a very descriptive paragraph. There's vocabulary, very geographical vocabulary, right? Like mountain, lake, okay? And this is the same paragraph accompanied by the picture. So you see, for an emergent reader, a child who has not been exposed to what a lake is, this picture captures very nicely what a lake is. Basically, it's a body of water between two mountains. Because some of our students, they don't travel or they're not exposed to documentaries and all that. So the picture would help the child. All right, and the use of the size of the character contrasted to the whole background and scenery, right, brings about the meaning of Dad and I were all alone. All right, and the character holding hands, so it captures the bond between the two of them. So of course, only advanced readers will be able to look deeper into it, because the struggling ones would still be trying to decode and read. Yeah. Okay. One more example that I used was this book, What Salama Didn't Know. It's written by a local writer. The story portrays Salama as the main character. She was given away as a child. She's to a Malay family. So when she was growing up, she was going through this identity crisis and struggling with her identity, because she was wondering why she looked different from everyone else in the family. Right? And strangely enough, Salama began to notice how some of her families too did not resemble their families. Maybe I'm not so different after all. maybe they like me too. Okay? So this picture uses colors, I feel. The dark and light colors, like basically her dark secret of being adopted coming to light, and the portrayal of the character's thoughtful face, right? Maybe she's slowly beginning to come to terms with the fact that she was adopted. Okay? And these are some of the other books which I used. All right. As I mentioned earlier, I went through a whole process of selecting books, and my main emphasis was the theme I was going to select, because I was working with 10 and 11-year-olds. So I wanted to select books with themes that were closer to their hearts, things which they could talk about in a very comfortable way. And so most of the two central themes were friendship and family. So the hug, the lost leg, little match girl, and a French show was about family. All right. Fox and Cat and Rat was about friendship, and the olive tree was about neighbors, two families who were neighbors. So the next question would be, why did I decide to use questioning and critical thinking skills? Speaker and Sharp in 1995 said that picture books offer multiple layers of meanings, and there's this complex and subtle relationship between the words and images. So when we encourage students to ask questions about what they have read, they would be motivated to analyze the pictures, analyze the words and vocabulary used by the writer. And in a way, I noticed that the students, because they had to say something during the discussion, right? In a way, it helped them to stay focused, to stay on point, so that they can focus on the things they wanted to talk about later on with their friends. So, because I wanted to search for a pedagogical framework that I could reference to combine both aspects of comprehension and communication, to encourage them to talk about the stories they have read. I came across this teaching and learning concept known as philosophy for children, or P4C in short. P4C was developed by Matthew Lipman and his colleagues. And P4C centralizes the underlying principle basically is to encourage students, children, young adults to talk about things that matter to them. So it offers a platform or a forum to engage in dialogue and talk about their experiences and their stories. And the three main aspects of P4C is to get them to question, to reason, and to talk and to discuss. And above all, is to help them understand their peers better. So I thought this would tie in nicely with my with the use of picture books, so that they could engage in and talk about what they understand from the book. So I designed the reading session such that after every picture book session, they will be encouraged to ask questions. And asking questions doesn't mean just asking questions about the book. Well, if they didn't understand any aspects about the book, they could clarify. But they were also encouraged to ask questions beyond the book. And asking questions beyond the book would mean they need to think critically. So things like one of the students actually mentioned, where is the mother figure in the story, the lost leg, for example, because it was just father and son. There was no mention of mother. So you see, so you encourage them to think and question beyond what they have read. And lastly, so at the end of the day is getting them and offering them a platform to talk about what they have read. Because a lot of our students with dyslexia, I think they do not have this opportunity to sit down together and discuss, because sometimes in schools, they are too shy to speak up. So in a very small, comfortable group setting, this allows, it gives them that opportunity. All right. Let me just share with you some of my findings. So these were some of the themes that emerged. Positive engagement. Clearly, the kids were able to do turn taking, all right, because they had to ask questions. So I gave them some like cue cards. If they wanted to ask a question, they got to put up the question mark, or they wanted to make a comment about what their friend said, they'll put up the smiley face. So at first it was a bit difficult because everyone was so excited to say something, but after a while they waited until their friend has finished speaking. Then after that they will put up the cue card, and they enjoyed basically the exchange of ideas. There was also observed improved self-esteem. Some of the participants were a bit shy at first, but throughout the course of the 10 weeks, you could see that they were speaking up more, all right? And there was, they were able to relate to their prior knowledge and personal experience also. Like when we are talking about family and friendship, they spoke about their own experience with friends, their relationship with their grandparents. And it was good because, it's an open dialogue, and that's the principle of P4C. I forgot to mention, that P4C is also used in counseling and behavioral therapy sessions. So in a way, it regulated their behavior throughout the whole discussion. Two other aspects will be in terms of critical thinking skills and language and comprehension skills, which I will explain a bit more in detail. Okay. For critical thinking skills, right? I observed that they were able to make inferences. They could, based on what the character said or what the characters did, all right, the motives of certain actions and speech used by the characters. And they were also able to draw or make connections between characters, not just within the picture books, but across picture books. So because the theme was family and friendship, so they said, hey, this character did the same thing as what the character in another book did. So it was quite amazing that they were able to retain some of that information from the picture books they read before. And they were able to put themselves in the position of the character. So of course there were times where I prompted and asked them, if you were in this character's position, what would you do or how would you have reacted? Yeah. And also, lastly, the development of language and comprehension skills. There were words which were unfamiliar, so I had to explain. And of course, I didn't just give them an explanation. I would ask them like, what do you think it means? So when you ask the whole group, what do you think the word means, they would try to answer, and then slowly we would figure out the meaning together. And clearly the visuals, the images helped in terms of the comprehension. Okay. Just some reflections that after I did the research, it was something personally it was very meaningful because I myself enjoy picture books, and there was positive feedback from parents and students because I think after the 10 weeks, some of them thought that it would be there was a continuation, but unfortunately it was just a study, so it only lasted for 10 sessions, and they were very keen. I think 4 out of 6 of them clocked in like full attendance. The other 2 was because of school commitments. So it was a very interesting and pleasant experience. Just sharing some limitations. I felt that if there was a control group, it would have been better. So the control group would read the same stories but without the pictures, so that there will be a comparison to compare the power of the image. All right, and also the demographics, because the students were from the same learning center, and if we could look deeper into their home literacy environment, whether they were exposed to how early they were exposed to like the language, their first spoken language at home, then there would be measures to compare. And in future, I hope that, perhaps anyone who take on something similar would be able to include the two limitations that I had. So to include a control group without pictures and to vary the demographics. And also I tried to come up with a framework in a way through using picture books, but because it was small scale project, just 6 students, but it will be good to see how a set of instructions could be provided for literacy or dyslexia specialists to use picture books more explicitly, and perhaps include P4C as part of our dyslexia curriculum. Just some thoughts. Okay? Yep, and I'm done with my presentation. So I could take some questions if you have any. Or you could drop me an email if you want to know a bit more about my research. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tuty, for sharing your interesting research and some ideas that we can use in our classroom as well as musicians. All right, we'd now like to invite Ms. Keksan to present a token of appreciation to Ms.